You know what time it is. So, I went to a certain Vegan Gains channel to look for a debate. I couldn't find a debate, guys. He must have deleted the video. But I found the debate on another channel. And, guys, what I have to show today, it'll put to rest the notion that Vegan Gains is science-based, that he has integrity, that he goes by objective facts. Because it's all fabricated. It's all made up, guys. Don't believe me? Watch the video. I have an hour-long special for you guys. Wait and see. Just come and see, guys. Stick around. But let me give you a quick synopsis for the people who don't want to watch an hour-long video, because Vegan Gains is kind of dull to listen to, I understand, but Vegan Gains gives a study, ends up arguing against his own study's findings. Like, his argument contradicts the conclusion of his own study. I'm not making this up. Third, he says that the PhDs who wrote the study were biased. They didn't do it right. They're lying. He understands it better. His interpretation is better. Guys, this is Vegan Gains. People claim he's science-based. What science-based? He's ideologically based. He is based on delusional lies. He will lie for veganism. He said it. He said it on stream. I can't find it. It's been so long. He said that it's okay to lie if it's for veganism. He said it, guys, and he got exposed being consistent with his own lie. My bad. He was consistent with that claim by lying about that study. And you can go ahead and watch, guys. You tell me if I'm wrong. By the way, every person who tried to explain what the study was even saying, they all got it wrong. Vegan Gains got it wrong. The moderators got it wrong. But I have some links down below because I found people who took the time to think about the statistics and who understood it a little better than Richard, I guess. And they have an explanation. And TLDR, guys, veganism and vegetarianism isn't shit for improving longevity. It's marginal gains. Just like Vegan Gains, making marginal gains every year and then regressing massively, or should I say statistically significantly regressing in weight. Alright guys, well, enjoy the video. Okay, thanks, bye. Oh, before I forget, breakfast chat, guys. We have meatballs, pasta, Diet Pepsi. I know that's going to make some of the vegans who watch this very mad. Oh yeah, and as an extension, I need to make this very clear for you guys who come from particularly Greg Doucette's channel. Guys, please stop disliking this video. Go to Vegan Gains channel and dislike his video, alright? Not this one. Like this one. Dislike that one from his channel, alright? And also I had to give boom, one of those before I go. That's all, guys.
Basically, I was just responding to your position that animals can't form a social contract. But look, change. Like, the point I'm trying to make here is that change has to start with you. If you want to see the world go vegan, or if you want to see slavery be abolished, how the hell can you support these things while owning slaves? You know what I mean?
Oh, well, my fundamental axiom is that I think we should do our best to maximize human well-being, so I wouldn't be able to own slaves.
Right, okay, and if you want to maximize human well-being, then why would you support the animal holocaust, which negatively impacts the human race?
Because me enslaving an individual, violates, to a huge maximum, my individual goal of maximizing human well-being. Me going vegan has a negligible impact on anything in society and represents a great cost personally to me.
Okay, well, the biggest choice you can make in terms of like your environmental impact, it's actually your diet. So I don't understand how you
The
could,
individual, do you understand and accept
well-
that the impact that any one individual has on climate change is negligible?
Okay, any one individual, but the biggest change that you can personally make would be your diet.
But
And
that
again, if this is
individual
something-
change,
well, look,
do you understand that that individual change represents a great personal cost and does essentially nothing for the
what do
environment?
you mean a great personal cost?
As in you have to make like a significant change to your life in order to do it.
No, you really don't.
Yeah, you really do.
No, like,
Yeah.
okay, so when you go to KFC,
Yeah,
okay,
you
so when
really
you go
do,
to
yeah.
KFC,
Mhm.
you have to choose the plant-based burgers rather than get the normal burger. Like,
So
okay,
I'm not
wow.
sure like which like ultra fucking like shining white suburb you live in, but like finding like good vegan food in like every part of the world that you go to is usually pretty difficult. Making
usually
like
pretty easy.
sacrifices, it's not making sacrifices to go like with all like I know like I live in LA now, so there's like Impossible Burgers and all that shit in a lot of the places around here, but not every single place around the world, not even every single place in the US is like that. And then food is like one of the hugest things of a person's life. Like literally you eat like 2 or 3 times a day, you engage with food more than almost any other thing. And like the vegan substitutes right now for meat taste like shit compared to the actual thing. So in terms of like all the sacrifices I could make in my life, like going vegan would be like a pretty big one. Like it would be a pretty big detriment to like I would have to deal with like 2 times of the day for me. So yeah, I would say that's like a
Okay,
decent
well,
like drawback.
Giving up on owning a slave would be a pretty big detriment to a slave owner.
Thankfully, owning a slave is like right there, like against my maximum of like maximizing human well-being. And not owning one slave makes a significant difference in the life of that one slave. Not participating in animal agriculture is basically a wash in society at the end of the day. It makes no difference.
Okay, so you're saying it would benefit the human race not to, partake in animal agriculture, but you're still going to support animal agriculture.
Yeah, I mean, I would vote against it if I had to, but in terms of like partaking in it, like whether or not I do or don't, at the end of the day is a wash. So what motivation do I have to partake in an activity that significantly harms me or changes my lifestyle, but impacts
Well, it
the
doesn't
environment?
harm you.
Okay. I guess we
Okay,
just
so
disagree what harm
extending
means.
your life expectancy, reducing your risk of chronic disease, reducing your environmental
First of
footprint.
all, you can well, hold on without Kish helping with anything. So you can reduce your risk of chronic disease and increase your diet all without eliminating animal products. Like significantly curbing your consumption of like red meats alone will probably get you halfway there, and then significantly curbing your consumption of dairy will probably get you like another quarter of the way there. You don't need to be on a complete plant-based diet to maximize your health. You just need to significantly reduce your intake of animal products.
No, you actually do. Being on 100%.
How much do you want to bet
plant-based diet,
right
you need
now?
to-
Do you think?
Check out the Oxford vegetarian.
I don't need to check it out
cohort.
because I've already read all these shitty vegan arguments before. Like
No,
if you compare
you
compare any plant-based diet, if you compare a plant-based diet to the average American diet where we massively
That's not what I'm
overconsume
talking
meat.
about.
Okay, well then I just don't give a fuck that
So
much
if
then.
you- okay,
I
so
would
if
rather
you-
I would rather live to be
So
70
now-
than
so
live to
now
be
when I can
80.
actually prove- Okay, so when I can actually prove what you're saying is wrong, you don't give a fuck anymore?
I don't. I think that if you make a significant improvement to your diet, I don't think that means you have to cut all animal-based products out of it. I don't think you're right on that. If you want to like be something like that, I'd be interested. Like against like a healthy diet that incorporates like a variety
Yeah, that's
of
what I'm talking about.
what?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So if you look at the Oxford vegetarian cohort, I think the cohort's been going on for almost 2 decades now. They compare basically healthy meat eaters. So there's 4 different food or diet categories. There's meat eaters, infrequent meat eaters, pescatarians, vegetarians, and vegans. Only the vegetarians and vegans had a statistically significant reduced risk of all-cause mortality, and they also had,
Can you give me some numbers when you say significantly reduced risk? What does that mean?
Okay, let me actually find this for you. I'll look up the confidence interval here.
I don't need the confidence interval. I just want some numbers related to like, are we talking about people that live to like 83 versus people that live to like 81? Because I'll probably lose 2 years of my life at the worst end of my life, being very fucking old, to eat meat my entire life.
Let me just check here. So the study's called Mortality in Vegetarians and Comparable Non-Vegetarians in the United Kingdom. So yeah, this cohort's been going on for almost 2 decades. And if you scroll down
Yeah,
to...
can you shoot it to me?
Yeah, sure. I'll send you a link. So I'll just drop it in the chat here. So if you scroll down to page 25.
Wait, where is the chat? What is the chat?
Oh, I'm just in. Oh, okay. I see what you mean. I think it's in general that I dropped it in.
Like general
Yeah, general,
voice?
my dude.
General,
Yeah,
my dude.
Okay, I'll drop it in there.
Gotcha.
General, my dude. Okay, and if you scroll down to page 25, so the second paragraph on the right, they basically give you the confidence intervals. So this is deaths before age 90. So the HR for vegans was 0.92, confidence interval between 0.84, 0.99. The point estimate was 0.92. So that was the only diet group that was at a statistically significant reduced risk of all-cause mortality before the age of 90. So basically, based on the point estimate, you have an 8% lower risk of dying before 90 of all causes. Now, I know some people will argue that's not a big deal.
Yeah, it's not. It's not. It's not.
but-
You're not
well,
selling me
no,
hard
no,
on that.
no.
And these are going to be like, you're giving me, I know, like the best
Well,
cherry pick
wait.
stats you can find is like an
No,
8% reduced risk of mortality. Like,
Okay, well, listen, 8% reduced risk of all-cause mortality is pretty significant. If we're talking about cause-specific mortality, depending on what it is, you might be able to argue that it's not that significant. Like if you're talking about something like pancreatic cancer, that's not a huge reduced risk, but dying of all causes, 8%, like almost 10%, that's pretty big. That's relatively significant.
yeah,
So-
it's
and
like
that was the only
relatively,
diet-
yeah, like it's definitely
Well,
something to think. Like, I'll try to, you know what? I'll try to hit like the gym an extra day of the week to compensate for the risk then.
Okay, well, I don't know if that would really be enough for you because this is a what do you call it? Multivariate analysis. So they factor in things like smoking, physical activity, things like that. They
Wait,
try
wait,
to
wait,
do
wait,
everything
wait.
they can to make sure it's an apples to apples comparison.
Hold on 1 second. Fuck. Okay, I'm sorry. Wait, I don't have time to go through this entire thing.
Well, you don't. Like I'm just.
Wait, I'm
telling
just real
you-
quick because I'm just reading these results here. So there were 5,294 deaths before the age of 90 and over 1 million Y of follow-up. There was no significant difference in overall all-cause mortality between the diet groups. HRs and low
Yeah,
meat eaters, fish eaters, and vegetarians compared with regular meat eaters.
Well, read the confidence intervals. It's like they say there was no difference, but if you read the confidence intervals, there was.
90,
I don't know why they wrote it that way.
95% confidence interval, 95% confidence interval, 95% confidence interval.
No. You're look at this is a 95% confidence interval, but look at the confidence interval themselves. Only the vegan group, it doesn't cross the null, which is 1. So confidence interval of 0.84 to 0.99. If it crosses the null, which is 1, then it wouldn't be statistically significant. We got
to move on to another argument. You're like, I know for a fact that because your life is vegan debates, if this is the best you have for me, then your argument sucks shit. Because I guarantee you that like there's going to be a million other things out there that probably argue against this, and like this is not very compelling. I'm sorry,
dude. You just made the argument that you can optimize your health without eating entirely plant-based, and I just gave you pretty compelling.
To be
evidence
clear, first of all, this is not very compelling. In fact, this is like strong evidence against that. I might use this in anti-vegan debates in the future. Thank you. And secondly, I didn't say that you could completely negate it. I said that the majority of like the horrible health impacts from the current diet probably aren't due to the fact that we eat any animal products at all. It's probably due to the fact that the diet is incredibly unhealthy, period, whether we were eating animal products or not. Like we could modify our diet greatly to be a lot healthier, but that doesn't mean eliminating all animal products from the diet. That's a really silly and arbitrary way of limiting the food intake.
Data disagrees with you.
Okay.
So tell me why only the vegan and vegetarian group had a statistically significant reduced risk of all-cause mortality.
Okay, which page is that? Do I need to see this?
Well, I just told you it's page 225, and you read it out just now. Page 225.
No, I was literally reading the results from page 1.
Oh no. Okay, so it's page 225, and it's the second paragraph on the right, and it's underneath the table 2.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Okay, reading the second paragraph. With two exceptions, there was no significant heterogeneity of risks between men and women, between never, former, and current smokers, or between low weight, normal weight, and overweight participants for any of the 6 most common causes of death.
Okay, no, you're not reading the right thing.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm on page
so
225.
225. It's underneath table 2, so it's not the actual table. It's the rest of that page. So it's the second paragraph on the right. So it starts off, when we exclude data for participants known to have changed diet group at least once during follow-up.
Okay, so sure. So when we excluded data for participants known to have changed diet group at least once during the follow-up, leaving data for 4,270 deaths before age 90, there was no significant difference in risk between diet groups for all causes of death combined as follows.
Right, and then if you actually read the confidence intervals...
Okay, I have a feeling you probably don't understand the stats here. Or are you telling me that so they just wrote it incorrectly then in this paragraph?
No, they wrote it correctly. It's just that sentence, there was no significant difference in risk between diet groups. That sentence is inaccurate because there was actually a
I'm sorry, dog. I'm gonna go with the researchers writing here over your interpretation of what the numbers mean. Like, I'm sorry. Like,
are you telling me? Are you telling me a confidence interval between 0.84 and 0.099 is not statistically significant?
What does that mean? What does a confidence interval of 0.84 to 0.99 mean?
Okay, so confidence interval, it's a statistical tool that gives you a good guess between where an outcome will lie. So if you have a confidence interval that does not cross the null being 1, then that would be statistically significant. And with a 95% confidence, you can say an outcome will fall somewhere between these 2 points.
Okay.
So
and your points for all of these, and look at the different confidence intervals you're given. So you've got 0.85 to 1.02.
Right.
You've got 0.81 to 1.02. You've got 0.84 to 0.99. Like, these are all almost identical.
Statistically significant. No. The one is statistically significant. The one isn't.
Do you want me to bring a stats person here to argue with you, or?
Okay, sure. If you want. Like, I mean, that is by definition statistically significant.
I don't understand how. Okay, hold on. Now I'm curious because now I want to know how the vegan brain works. So you're confident in and to be 100% honest, I'm a fucking music school dropout, okay? I don't do numbers and all that shit, okay? It's confusing to me, okay? You're confident that your interpretation of these numbers is more accurate than the actual publishers, the researchers of this paper.
Okay, dude, it doesn't matter what they say in the fucking sentence. What matters is the actual fucking data, the numbers. They could write a song about fucking Christmas. Doesn't matter what the fuck they say. The numbers, the actual results are what matter.
Okay,
so
do you have is there like a graph of these numbers anywhere so that we can see, like, because this is like alt-writer logic right now. This is like, I read the paper on like how brains and human IQ works, and even though the researchers disagree with me, like, I saw the number, like.
What are you talking about? We're talking about the results of the study.
No, we're not. No, there's a reason.
What the author said in the sentence leading up to what the results reported are.
So there's a reason why laymen like us tend to stick to the abstracts. Like, these are published researchers working with a 2-decade-old cohort. No, you're not. But that's the problem. Is you're reading a sentence and you don't like the sentence. And
the data. What do you mean 2-decade-old?
Exactly. What I'm saying is that the researchers that are working on these papers probably know what they're talking about. So if they're going to tell me that there's not a statistical...
Destiny, it doesn't fucking matter what the hell they said leading up to the actual numbers we're talking about. What matters is the actual numbers.
Okay.
So
because
it doesn't matter what the sentence says.
Because you're probably reading the numbers wrong.
How am I reading the numbers wrong? So do I not know what 0.099 is? Like, what are you talking about?
So not only was their sentence incorrect here, their sentence and the results were incorrect as well. You've managed to go through this study and you've divined the truth, like that stands in contrast to the results the researchers themselves give in the results paragraph of their page.
Okay, Destiny.
Wait, can you just answer that yes or no instead of talking around that? Like, can you?
No, I'm not talking around it.
You're
Destiny,
talking around
I don't
it.
care about the results of the paper. I don't care what the fucking researchers said about their findings.
Okay, I do. So that's just the difference. I I'm a layman when it comes to this stuff.
So you're gonna ignore. Okay, so you're just gonna flat out ignore the actual numbers, the actual results of the paper, and you're just gonna focus on what they said because that supports your viewpoint.
No,
okay,
I'm gonna go
the
with
other way around. Okay, cool. What if this was the other way around? The numbers show that the vegan group actually died sooner. They had a higher increased risk of mortality, but the researchers said the opposite. Oh, look, the vegans lived longer. Would you care more about what the researchers said, even though the numbers and the data actually contradict their claims?
I'm not looking at the numbers themselves because I don't have a background in stats.
Okay,
I know how to interpret it.
Okay.
But I would read what the results say. That's what I would read.
Okay, so Destiny, you're saying if the actual numbers that they reported showed that vegans had an increased risk of all-cause mortality, but the researcher said they had a decreased risk of all-cause mortality, then you're saying you'd still rely on what the researchers say rather than the actual data?
Because I'm a layman. I can't interpret. I know you don't understand how any of this works. I'm sorry, I don't know what to say to you.
No, I do.
So I'm reading the conclusion of your paper that you linked me. This was your killer paper for me, and I assume you probably bring this out in every debate you have. Is United Kingdom-based vegetarians and comparable non-vegetarians have similar all-cause mortality. Differences found for specific causes of death merit further investigation. You're telling me that the researchers are all just fucking retarded. They don't know their own paper. They don't know their own data, even though they've worked with these data sets for 2 decades and they're in charge of publishing it. They're wrong and you're right.
That's one way of putting it.
Okay, that's all I needed to hear. All right, what's your next argument then?
Okay, dude. So you're actually admitting that you have no argument against the actual results, and you're just basically going off of what somebody said in the paper.
My guess, if I could find a guy that knew stats, my guess is you probably just don't know how to read the confidence intervals.
No, this isn't okay, dude. This isn't particularly difficult. Very basic way to read a confidence interval is if the confidence interval doesn't cross 1. So if all the numbers are above 1, or if all the numbers are below 1, then that's a statistically significant finding. Okay, so since the confidence interval is 0.84 to 0.99, that's statistically significant. That's the only group that had a statistically significant reduced risk of all-cause mortality. It's very simple.
If it's so simple, then why did the researchers mess all of this up?
Okay, well, they might not have messed it up. Maybe they have some sort of weird bias, and they didn't want to report that, I don't know, vegans and vegetarians had a lower risk of all-cause mortality. It does happen that researchers working on these studies have some sort of weird bias.
Why would they be?
There was a Metarex. Okay, well, listen, there was a Metarex study that was published recently. The researchers clearly had a bias. They basically said because people just enjoy eating red meat, people should eat it. Like, that was literally one of the things that was stated in the Metarex study.
Like, this is literally an Oxford published study. This is an Oxford published study looking at this cohort.
Okay, so
it seems like I feel like the people would know basic stats.
Okay, dude, you're telling me researchers can't have bias? They couldn't have made some sort of mistake here? They couldn't have made any kind of error with how they reported on this? Like, I'm going to go by the numbers, not what they said. Okay, so Destiny, you don't have an argument here. I think you're just going to have to accept that, yeah, the vegans and vegetarians in this paper, they were the only group that had a statistically significant reduced risk of all-cause mortality. Simple as that. It was at about, the point estimate is about 8%.
Why would I trust any, if these guys don't even know how to do basic stats, why would I trust?
Okay, wait. You're saying I don't know how to do basic stats?
No, I'm saying, you clearly know how to do stats, but these guys clearly have no fucking idea. So why would I trust any of their study?
Okay, Destiny, this sort of thing happens all the time, okay? Researchers, authors can make mistakes.
And it got past peer review and everything. This is an actual published thing that's been followed for decades.
So, yeah, Destiny, there are plenty of mistakes that are published in research all the time.
Hold on.
I don't know what the hell that has to do.
Sure. This isn't just like
So Destiny, notice how this isn't about you proving that these numbers don't mean anything. This is about you saying we should listen to the researchers who wrote this. So basically, you're just making an appeal to authority.
First of all, an appeal to authority is not a logical fallacy. A fallacious appeal to authority would be a logical fallacy. I am going to appeal to the authors of the study about the content of said study. I don't believe it's fallacious to do that, especially when every author that worked on this study is going to be more qualified than you or me to do basic statistic interpretation. The fact that this is not only peer-reviewed and published, the fact that the very results in both the abstract and results section disagree with your conclusion makes me highly suspect that your interpretation is probably a little bit biased.
Okay, so you can't actually explain why I'm wrong. You're just basically saying, well, they're researchers, so they know more than you. That's not really a valid argument in my eyes. And Destiny, this sort of thing happens all the time. There's a recent study on bone fracture risk. They totally fucked up basically their analysis rather than using. So what they did was they stratified for BMI and.
I don't care about it. You're like, this isn't just like a random error. You literally are like you are literally telling me that the conclusion of this entire study is wrong because they can't do a basic stat check. That's what you're telling me.
Yeah. Okay, they might have done a stat check. It's just that their interpretation of it was wrong, or they dishonestly reported on it, or they were being, I don't know, maybe precautious.
Wait, who is the publisher of this study? Paul Abley is the first name on this paper.
Okay.
This guy is literally a fucking vegan.
Okay. Okay, Destiny, what the hell does this have to do with the actual numbers? You're not actually giving me an argument for why my interpretation of these results is wrong. You're basically saying, oh, okay, they wrote it down that way, so you're wrong.
You are the debate, bro. The people say that I am. How do I get rid of people like you? Why do you do this? Can't listen.
Okay,
Wait. I'm not even. We're not having a debate. I just want to have a human to human.
Yeah. Explain why my interpretation of these results is wrong. Don't just say,
I don't know how to read. I don't really know much about stats. I never took stats. Was for losers in school that wanted an easy GPA. Okay, I took calc.
Okay, Destiny. Since you don't have an argument, I think you're just going to have to accept for now that guess what? In the study, they found that vegans and vegetarians had an 8% reduced risk of all-cause mortality compared to the other diet groups.
Can you show me the tables in this study that like analyze the different mortality rates among these diseases? I'm curious. Is it like listed anywhere in here?
Yeah, it's down lower. So if you just scroll down to table 3, number of deaths before age 90 and HRs for 95% confidence intervals, you can scroll down. It goes through all the cause-specific causes. So it goes from, let's see, malignant cancer, and it has cancer-specific sites, disease of the nervous system, circulatory disease, ischemic heart disease. You can just go through everything.
Okay, and how do I see like the percentage of the total groups? Does it list that in here or no?
What do you mean percentage of total?
So like
groups?
I see like 686 regular meat eaters died of malignant cancer. Can I find out the percentage of the original sample size of that or no?
Well, okay, so it
like have you gone through and actually looked at the percentages here to see if it does support your conclusion?
What do you mean percentages?
Well, so what you're
people wait. So this is the number of people in the cohort that they're looking, and I think this is after taking out people. This is excluding participants known to have changed diet groups at least once during follow-up. So this isn't the entire cohort. This is just after they excluded participants. So this is 686 meat eaters after they excluded participants known to have changed diet groups. And these are the HRs for, malignant cancer, colorectal, pancreas.
No, I understand that. I'm just trying to see these numbers listed as a percentage.
What do you mean as a percentage?
Like, I'm curious, as a percentage of the total participants, what did like a higher percentage of regular meat eaters die versus fish eaters? That's what I'm looking for to see if it because that should be the case then if your stats are correct.
Wait. What I'm not following.
Let's say that there were 1,000 meat eaters and 1,000 vegans, okay? And let's say they tracked the deaths. Let's say that they found 500 meat eaters died of cancer and only 400 vegetarians died of cancer. It seems like meat eaters are more likely to die of cancer than vegetarians or something.
Well, the HR. Okay, so the HRs would tell you that.
What does HR mean again? Isn't that hazard ratio or something?
Yeah.
Okay, HR is 1.0 on all of or.
No. The HR is 1.0 for regular meat eaters, so that's basically the null that they're looking at. So that's like what's another word for it? That's basically the control group, essentially, that they're comparing everything to. And then low meat eaters, the point estimate was 0.93. So that's without factoring in BMI. But again, the confidence interval isn't statistically significant. It goes from 0.81 to 1.07. And for fish eaters, it's actually significantly lower. It's 0.76. Confidence interval significant, 0.63 to 0.91. And then for vegans, vegetarians, it's 0.82, confidence interval 0.72 to 0.94.
Wait, don't those confidence intervals not matter because they don't go to 1.0 or whatever?
No, that means they're statistically significant, so they're below the null. So that means...
Okay, so then how do you explain in the next one where we look at colorectum or whatever, where it looks like vegetarians and vegans are at 1.05, and that's over like regular meat eaters. And that confidence interval is 0.72 to 1.53. So that should be like ultra confident, right?
No. So again, that's not statistically significant because so basically when you're looking at a confidence interval, if it goes from 0.72 to 0.153, that means the actual outcome could be either below the null or over the null, so it's not statistically significant. The point estimate is 0.015, but really the outcome could be anything between 0.72 and 0.153. So it could be, protective. Like vegans could be at a lower risk of cancer of the colorectum, or they
could be at a much higher risk. Yeah.
Yeah, it could be. But yeah, it's not statistically significant.
Okay. So if we look down at like lung cancer, what about this, where it's
lung
0.92 compared to 1.06? Like low meat eaters are at 0.92.
So again, if you look at the confidence interval, they all cross the null, so it's not statistically significant.
Wait. Hold on. I'm sorry. Explain this to me. So low meat eaters is 0.92, and then the range is 0.63 to 1.33. And for vegetarians and vegans, it's 1.06, with the range being 0.73 to 1.55.
Yeah, so the point estimate is higher, but it's the confidence interval still crosses 1. So it's not statistically significant. That's just the point estimate.
I feel like this is not how these... I feel like that's not how stats works, but honest to God,
No, it is.
All right, hold on.
It's pretty simple.
Stats speaker, Sejin.
All right, this is so dumb. All right, go to table 3. You're at the bottom, right?
Hold on. Table 3, bottom of table 3. Yes.
Yes, all causes, right?
Wait, all other... Wait, am I looking at all... all causes.
All other... Below that, all causes.
Yes.
So our fucking standard regular eat meters 1.0. That's our baseline, right?
Yeah, baseline is 1.0. Yes.
So now we're given 95% confidence intervals, right?
Yes.
But this isn't. These numbers aren't like they're giving us the range, right? It doesn't matter. Like this doesn't matter. So it's saying that a low meat eater has a low end hazard ratio of 0.85 and up to 1.02, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just as likely that we can take the lower ranges of all of these, and fish eaters would be better off than vegans and vegetarians.
Okay. Or we take the high end where there's not much of a difference at all.
What do you mean? It's okay. So claiming that it's just as likely is... I don't think that's not.
Oh, hold on. I understand. Wait. So, okay. When Sejin, he keeps saying crossing the null. That doesn't mean anything, right? It's just a range that's given.
No, it does.
What we're given here is a range.
Yes. So hold on. Tell me if I'm understanding this correctly. Because I feel like okay, hold on. Wait. Sejin, I'm just asking.
It does matter if it crosses the null, because that means... No, it does matter if it crosses the null because the outcome could be anywhere in that range. So
yeah, but all of these are listed.
These are hazard ratios. This isn't fuck. What's the word, dude? Oh my god, it's been so long since I take stats, but I know this.
No, if it crosses the null, it could be at any point. It could be in any point in that confidence interval. So
yeah, but all of these are given.
When you're testing a null, you're doing that like this is way before. This is a different calculation you're talking about. What we're given here are ranges using the confidence interval of the hazard ratio.
Wait.
Yeah, I don't think you're getting it, dude. So look, if you're looking at the confidence interval, that means the outcome, the actual outcome you're looking for, it could be anywhere within that confidence interval. So if you have a confidence interval between 0.85 and 1.02, that means you could have an increased risk. So if it's between 0.85
range.
and
That's
1.02, you
implying
can't.
the confidence interval, or hazard
That's
ratio.
the range. That's the range for the confidence. That's the range for the confidence interval. The hazard ratio
that
could be
0.85
anywhere
to
within that range.
1.02.
Yeah,
Wait,
could be anywhere
wait.
within
You
that
agree
range.
that that's a range for the hazard ratio, right?
Right, and if it's anywhere within if it could be anywhere within that range, if you could say with 95% confidence it could be between 0.85 and 1.02, that means it could be at an increased risk or it could be at a lower risk.
Wait,
Well,
hold on.
if-
Wait. Okay, wait. Can I just say this real quick? This is my understanding of this is literally all these numbers mean is there is a 95% chance that all-cause mortality for low meat eaters is between 0.85 and 1.02 of the null. Isn't that what that means? Or what am I wrong about there?
No, that's our hazard ratio. We're talking about that's strictly hazard ratio, right?
No, I understand that, but I'm saying that like if doesn't the confidence interval just mean that like there's a 95% chance that the actual like all-cause mortality for low meat eaters is probably what it lies between 0.85 and 1.02. Isn't that what that means?
Yeah, that's correct.
That's correct, but that wouldn't be considered statistically significant for determining increased or decreased risk.
No,
need
that's
to
not
retake stats
true.
Yeah,
That's not true. So
Yes, it would.
to determine something is statistically significant, you have to use a test statistic. This is not inherently a test statistic. You're literally just looking at like confidence. You're just looking at the variability of your data.
Thank you so much.
You're not.
No,
you're
no,
not looking at anything.
No. If you could say with 95% confidence an outcome could be within this range, like 0.85 to 1.02, then you can't say with confidence that you have an increased or reduced risk. If you are below, or if all your numbers are below or over the null, you can say with 95% confidence you are at a reduced risk or at an increased risk. So what the hell are you talking about?
That's not true. I think you're confounding confidence intervals in your and like test statistics. You can't say
confidence intervals can be used to determine statistical significance. Absolutely can.
Yeah, so when you do that, it's called a test statistic, which you're not given here.
What do you mean you're given the confidence interval?
You're just given a specific confidence interval. That's all. The only thing you can extract from this is the variability of your data. It's sort of like a measure of how.
No. And with that, you can determine statistical significance.
I'm pretty sure you're looking
that's
for
not true.
R value.
Yes,
and
you
what
can.
you're trying to do is you're conflating this confidence interval with p-value shit.
If you actually use, you could do the same thing with p-value. If you use p-values here, it'd be below 0.05 if it's statistically significant.
Yeah, correct. I totally agree, but you're not giving p-values here.
Yeah, so you can use the confidence interval. It doesn't matter if you can just do this on your own. You can calculate p-values. If the confidence interval is below 1 for all the numbers, you're going to have a statistically significant p-value anyway.
That's not true.
Yeah, it is. Yes, it is.
That's a good point because all of these have numbers are below 1.
No. If you look at all causes, if you look at all causes, and if you look at the vegetarians and vegans, no. So all cause mortality so the point estimate's 0.92, and it goes from 0.84 to 0.99. That's below 1.
Wait, but so you're saying that if in that vegetarians and vegans, if it went from 0.84 to 1.00 instead of 0.99,
that wouldn't be statistically significant because it could be possible that the actual hazard ratio lies on 1. Just that 0.92 happens to be the point estimate. So you can't say with 95% confidence. You can't say with enough confidence that you're at a reduced risk. So the hazard ratio is lower than basically the control group, regular meat eaters. Then you can't say the findings are statistically significant.
That's not true.
Yeah, it is.
Wait, can you explain what like a p-value is? Do you know what a p-value is?
Not exactly. I'm not a statistics expert, but I know.
So
wait, how are you arguing over statistics with a guy that's literally like a fucking vegan statistician? or never mind. Sorry, I'm appealing to authority.
Daddy's
Go ahead.
favorite is a vegan
No. The
statistician.
publisher of this
No, not me,
paper,
the
Paul
publisher.
Appley, is literally he has a fucking degree in mathematical statistics.
I don't like. Again, I don't give a crap what was written in Destiny. I only care about the numbers.
Okay.
Well, he's agreeing
Well,
with
like-
us and disagreeing with you. So shut the fuck up, dude. You got to retake stats, man.
Stop, Sejin.
Wait,
You're bullying.
no.
You're out.
Wait, I have a question for you. So if I have a fourth group here, I guess, and we have some inherent variability, let's say that the point estimate is at 0.5, and then the range is from 0.3 to 1.3.
Okay.
But let's say that like the average is around like 0.5.
Right. The point estimate.
Right. So let's say the point estimate is significantly below 1, but the upper end of our 95% confidence interval is above 1.
Yeah. So
What would
that
you say about that?
So that would not be a statistically significant finding because you can't say with high degree of confidence that I guess if we use this case, the hazard ratio is below 1. Like you're at a reduced risk of like an outcome happening to you.
I don't think so. I don't know where you're getting this understanding from. That would most certainly be statistically significant if our baseline is 1 for some
Okay,
number
if
of samples, right?
Okay, so if the outcome could be anywhere
Wait,
between
really fast. Can you explain what?
0.3 and 1.3, how can you say that's a statistically significant finding? If you have
because,
a point
because your point estimate
five,
is
how can you say
significantly.
that's statistically significant if the confidence interval is that wide and it
Right,
crosses.
exactly. Yeah, so if we have some sample, right? So let's look at the regular meat eaters. We're taking this as our control, right?
Okay.
So it looks like we have 1609 is our number of samples. Let's say on this we have some inherent variability in the HR value, right?
Okay.
So from there we have a standard deviation. And then how many standard deviations our point estimate is away from 1? That would be what's called a p-value. Or a t-value, or it's one of the test statistics, depends on what information you have. Right? Does that make sense? And then from a p-value, you can get statistical significance. But you can't just extract it given a 95% confidence interval. That's not how statistics works.
Okay, I'm pretty sure you're wrong. I'm not an expert on this, but pretty sure you're wrong.
All right,
Okay.
Ayas, you're in
I mean,
to give a different
Okay.
explanation. Okay.
Okay.
You're up.
Okay.
What?
So first of all, I'm not a statistician. I have a PhD. I mean, I don't have a PhD, but I'm on my last year of PhD in physiology.
Oh my god.
But I'll try to. Okay, hold on. I'll try to explain you guys. So you have Discord, right? Like, if you go, can I send you like a link or?
No, can you
image?
just explain the fucking paper?
So here's the deal. When they show you, they say the mean is 1. It doesn't mean it is only 1. Every stat is a bell curve, and that doesn't mean that every single person that they checked
Whoa.
has actually the mean of 1, right? That has a bell curve, and some people fall in,
Whoa.
for example, 0.76. Some people fall in, for example, 1.3. And if you pile them together, you have like a bell curve, and that bell curve has a mean of 1, and that is what that they are showing there. So if your confidence interval doesn't fall in 1, it doesn't mean that it is not overlapping with your control group at all. So for example, if that 1 is, as I just explained earlier, if it is consisting of confidence interval between like 0.7 and 1.3, whatever you're showing there on the graph, like 0.76 and 1.42, it still falls into that category or that population, right? So it doesn't mean, so it is overlapping with your control group, meaning that whatever you select from your experimental group has a plenty big chance of falling into the control group values, meaning that it can't be significant. So in order to actually test that, we do have a test called, we measure p-value, and p-value means that we have a different sort of like cutoffs for p-values, and we usually use 95%, meaning that 0.95 or 0.05 p-value, and if your p-value is lower than 0.05, we accept it as significant. And what it means is when you select, chances of whatever you select from your experimental group has 95% chance of not falling into your control group, meaning that not falling into that bell curve that I just described. So for example, if we talk about, let me just give you an example. So if you have a graph that is, again, confidence interval or a bell curve that is in between 0.7 and 1.3, and this is your control group, let's say, and you have an experimental group, right? An experimental group, let's say 1.4 to 1.7. Whatever you select in your experimental group is for sure not going to fall into that 0.7 to 1.3 bell curve, meaning that they are not overlapping at all, meaning that they should be statistically significantly different, right? Yeah, I don't know. Do you guys have any questions?
Okay, you know what? I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to a doctor friend of mine about this who knows a fair bit about statistics, and I'll ask him about some of these things.
Oh, yeah, sure. I
And
mean,
I'll probably do a video about this later.
yeah, you can do that. And plus, whatever we are looking at your Destiny stream, it is when you look at the table at the very bottom, you see the hazard ratios, right? No, Destiny.
Table 3, I got it.
Same
I bet,
table. Go back to the same table, please.
Yep.
Okay, yeah. So you see two different groups. We don't really care about the middle two groups, right? We care about the meat eaters and vegetarians and vegans. And you see the hazard ratio. And hazard ratio means that if it's lower, meaning that whatever the ratio that you are looking for is has a less incidence of occurrence in that specific group. So for example, in this specific table, you are looking at death rates, right? So 0.92 to 1, meaning that it has a trend. It is not statistically significant, as I explained earlier. 0.92 means that it has a less hazard ratio, meaning that whatever we are looking at has a less incidence of occurrence, which is death rate, right? So vegetarians and vegans group has a less occurrence of death in that group compared to the regular meat eaters. It's not statistically significant, but there's a trend. When you go to, for example, other categories, for example, if you look at, I don't really see much on this table, but if you look at if you go up or look at just in the other categories, you see that this HR ratio is actually higher in vegans and vegetarians in some of the
so for lung cancer, for instance, the hazard ratio appears to be higher, meaning there's a greater incidence of that particular thing compared to the regular meat eater group. Right? Exactly,
but when you look at it, just look at the confidence interval. It's 0.73 to 1.55, meaning that it has such a high bell curve, and it definitely crosses it's definitely going to cross your control group.
If something has a ratio of 0.25 to 1.01, does that mean it's just worthless because it crosses your null, or doesn't that still put that at the other end of that curve, or no?
Sorry, 1 point.
Let's say that your hazard ratio, let's say that it's a given it says 0.75, but then your ratio or whatever, or your difference is going to be I don't know if it works this way, or say it's 0.6 or whatever, and your ratio is 0.2 up to 1.0. Does that mean that that's just worthless because it goes up to that 1.0 thing, or? Does that crossing the null thing, is that a real thing? He kept saying crossing the null. Does that actually matter?
So null is your mean. Null,
I understand that. But I'm saying if your range crosses the null, does that all of a sudden mean that range is worse than, say, another range that doesn't cross the null? What I'm asking is 0.23 to 0.97, is that better than 0.26 to 1.01? Is the first one better than the last one because the last one crossed the null?
No. The only difference between the two is the center. That you're only changing the center. One isn't.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. So the idea that the confidence interval that range crossing the null doesn't actually mean anything, right?
I don't know what the null is.
When he says the
think
null, he
he's
means
confusing
1.0.
test statistics for.
So here's the thing.
Yeah.
Null is not actually a value, right? Null is, we have two hypotheses in science. We have null hypothesis and we have alternate hypothesis. And null hypothesis means that you are testing whether your experimental group is actually have sort of like a similar results to your control group. So meaning this is your null, meaning that you are actually proving that your experiment actually did not show any statistically significant results. So when he says it is different than null, it means that he is assuming that the mean is exactly at 1 and there's no bell curve going on. So it doesn't matter your whatever you just said, they are just arbitrary numbers. It doesn't matter. It's because what matters is you have two different groups, right? You also have control group. So depending on how your bell curve is defined in your control group, those two different groups that you just described might be significant, or they both might not be significant.
Okay, and then can you explain, just from my bad stats brain, why does this, like, so look at vegetarians and vegans at all-cause mortality is 0.92 compared to your control or whatever of 1.0. Why is that not statistically significant?
Oh, sorry, say that again?
Why is the 0.92, even though that's like quite different from the 1.0, why is that not statistically significant?
It's because you have, okay, statistically significant means that, as I said, we are using the p-value of 95%, means we are testing the hypothesis. If we are choosing a value from our experimental group, that value is going to be 95% going to be outside of your control group. And control group means not just one, but that bell curve. So can you just like...
Oh, shit, hold on, wait. I'm brain blasting right now. I'm sorry. Let me know wait, I just want to ask one question, because if you answer this correctly, then if you say this, then I understand everything, okay? Okay. So you're telling me that it is so I'm looking at these as numbers, okay? But these are all bell curves. The 1.0 is a bell curve and the 0.92 is a bell curve, right?
Yes.
You're telling me that the reason why the 0.92 bell curve is not statistically significant is because the range of 0.84 to 0.99 has a large overlap of the bell curve of the 1.0 of the normal one? Is that what you're saying? Or am I misunderstanding?
You did it.
Okay,
You did it.
I understand everything.
So
real quick, just to elaborate on what Vigan is saying. So he's saying that crossing the null makes it not significant, because if you cross the null, there is a higher likelihood, although I think not a guarantee, but a higher likelihood that you're going to have more overlap between the bell curve of the main number and the bell curve of your tested figure. Is that what he's saying?
If what you just said is true, if you have like a normal distribution. So for example, if your bell curve is actually skewed to one side, it doesn't matter. Can I send you a link? Don't worry, it's not something
I think
appropriate.
In terms of what you just said, I understand that. So if you don't have a normal distribution, but your bell curve is heavily skewed to the left, then it's possible that you could have a range of 0.85 to 1.1, but it could still be statistically significant if it's heavily skewed to the left and you're not overlapping your null.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So what I just sent you on the chat. Actually, one of your viewers did this Cormactian in the Discord. So that if you just open that, it will just like visualize it pretty nicely. So shout out to him too.
Okay, and then then another thing too. The number 1.0 then also in this case, and the way that he's using it, doesn't actually mean much, because if it's a 0.99, there's probably also, assuming these are all normal distributions, a 0.99 is probably likely to have about as much overlap as a 1.0 or a 1.01 if it's all normal distributions, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, you know what? I'll look into a bit of this, and I will probably make a video.
Yeah, and also like this is like, don't ever say such a things as, okay, they didn't even like did the stats properly or not. Like these people are like putting like a lot of effort or whatever into it, and they actually know what they are doing. Like it is really
look, I've seen plenty of research where they fudge stats or report it incorrectly, so I don't go by just what the authors say. I'm gonna look at the numbers. But
okay. I'm a I'm
wrong.
a PhD student, and I
Great dude. I don't care what the authors say. I'll look at the numbers, but if you're saying I'm interpreting the numbers incorrectly, then I'll do some more research into stats, and I'll ask somebody who's an expert about this, and I'll probably make a video response and talk about this, whether or not you're right or wrong.
okay, whatever you say, sure.
Okay. All right. Do you want to continue the veganism sort of?
Sure.
discussion?
Well, okay. I'm dragging these guys out. We're putting the stats conversation on hold. Okay. Or on the